It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory.
There's no fan like a Raider fan. They love their team, and they never, never forget a loss. Into this milieu come the New England Patriots, who have the unenviable task of beating Oakland for the second time in 1 year. But this is the playoffs, and for the Oakland team to a man, this is the start of a new season. The only games that mean a thing. For New England, it's a first visit to the playoffs since the merger, against the Raiders' record of 6 times in the past 7 years. As might be expected when the stakes are high, the opening kickoff mirrored the intensity with which this game would be played. New England received first, and former Raider Jess Phillips, who has found a new life with the Patriots, could manage merely to get the ball to his own 15-yard line. On this, the first offensive series of the game, New England discovered that the yards would come hard, and they went absolutely nowhere. The next time they had possession, they traveled fast and far. Quarterback sensation Steve Grogan had plenty of time to wait for an open receiver, then passed to tight end Russ Francis far downfield. Francis' one-handed catch brought the Patriots all the way to the Oakland 27. It was a gain of 40 yards and a great individual effort by the multi-talented tight end, who has been injured the past several games. Soon after Francis' big play, Grogan again, with absolutely no Raider rush to worry about, threw to Darryl Stingley for 24 yards, and the Patriots had a first down on the Raider 1. The very next play, Andy Johnson followed Sam Cunningham into the end zone for a touchdown and the first score of the playoffs. New England had looked very impressive on a 10-play, 86-yard drive against the Silver and Black. But predictably, on the next series, the Raiders and Kenny Stabler came roaring back. After Fred Biletnikoff took a pass over the middle for 22 yards, Stabler threw to his other wideout, Cliff Branch, for an additional 17. Then from the New England 23, Stabler went for 6 points with a pass to Biletnikoff in the end zone. But number 34, Prentice McRae, nearly intercepted. Oakland was forced to settle for 3 points, and with David Humm holding, Errol Mann booted a 40-yard field goal to bring the score to 7-3. In the second quarter, Grogan executed a beautiful play fake to Andy Johnson, then rolled right and threw cross-court to Darryl Stingley, who made a diving catch of the ball. This one play is significant, for it not only shows the skills of Steve Grogan at their best, but it was the only offense generated by either team for most of the second period. Both New England and Oakland had made mistakes on offense, and their respective defenses missed opportunities like this chance to go all the way by number 39, linebacker Willie Hall. Hall's near miss of a touchdown interception didn't hurt Oakland because New England fumbled the ball away on the series. But 2 plays later, Clarence Davis coughed the ball up and New England recovered. Here the Patriots put together the first decent drive of the second quarter, spearheaded mainly by the running of Steve Grogan. But it ended on this trick play, a reverse to Russ Francis. Number 26, Skip Thomas, picked off the underthrown pass, and the New England threat was ended deep in Oakland Raider territory. The interception seemed to give the Raider attack the impetus it needed, for Stabler began hitting again and moved the team downfield on a passing flurry that saw him complete 3 short passes that brought the ball to the New England 31. From the 31, Stabler threw to Biletnikoff, who, despite being well covered, somehow came up with the ball. Another look at the superb play by the 12-year veteran receiver shows number 24, cornerback Bob Howard, was guilty of interference, but Biletnikoff pulled it off in spite of it. It was a typical Biletnikoff-Stabler hookup, utilizing the unerring hands of the former Florida State star with the league-leading passing of the guy they called the Snake. Stabler finished the regular NFL season as its leading passer, beating out Burt Jones for the honor with an incredible 67% completed or 27 touchdown passes. Both statistics were the best in pro football, with plenty of room to spare. Oakland fans were getting their revenge, and the Raiders were ahead in the game for the first time 9-7, soon to be 10-7, with Errol Mann's successful conversion as the first half came to an end. The Raiders led largely due to their first half containment of New England's potent ground attack, but the second half would be a different story. Sam Cunningham's 22-yard carry on New England's initial second half possession loosened up Raider linebackers, allowing Steve Grogan to get the ball to his most effective offensive weapon. The awesome figure of Russ Francis continued to plague the Raiders' secondary. With Stingley and Vataha well covered, Grogan could find no other outlet on passing downs, but apparently he didn't need one. Francis' 26-yard catch and run regained the lead for New England. The 6'6" tight end had delivered New England's 2 biggest plays of the afternoon, and his clutch performance was well received by his pass-catching counterparts. Another angle on the play reveals that Grogan looked the Raiders to the right, then threw back underneath to a crossing Francis, who left Raiders strewn along the trail. The odds makers said the Patriots didn't belong, but the Raiders were having a tough time convincing them. New England's quick score stunned the proud Raider defense, and on the Patriots' next offensive possession, the Silver and Black stood determined to put an abrupt halt to this nonsense. But playing with the poise of a 10-year veteran, Steve Grogan continued to keep the Raiders off balance. A swing pass to A.J. Johnson spread out the linebackers. Then Grogan went to his ground game, and former Raider Jess Phillips did the damage. Filling in for Johnson, Phillips picked up the 9 most crucial yards on this Patriot drive, the last 9, as New England powered in for the score. Indeed, Chuck Fairbanks' squad had silenced the odds makers, for during period 3, they owned the scrimmage line, set the tempo of the game, and dominated all phases of play. and a loyal contingent of Patriot wives and friends sensed a big upset in the making. But no man in football is better at spoiling an opponent's fun than Kenny Stabler. Shut out for most of period 3, Stabler now faced an uphill struggle. The upstart Patriots were threatening to run away with this playoff game. So the Raiders went back to what they do best. Freddie Bolitnikov's 5th reception came at some expense. The tough young Patriot secondary had been knocking Raider receivers around before and after each reception. Early in period 4, fullback Mark Van Eegen met with a similar fate. But Oakland's receivers all hold advanced degrees from the School of Hard Knocks. New England beat on Raider receivers, but sure-handed veterans like Fred Bolitnikov rarely dropped the football. In a must situation, Stabler guided the Raiders 70 yards in 11 plays, and Mark Van Eegen added the finishing touch. Though dormant through most of period 3, the Raider offense executed when it had to. With a well-balanced chemistry of Ken Stabler and Fred Bolitnikov as its driving force, Oakland's offense can piece together a scoring drive at any time against any opponent. Their 70-yard excursion brought Raider fans back to life. Oakland seasoned fans have suffered through too many playoff disappointments to endure another at the hands of the Patriots. And with the coming of period 4, came the sneaking suspicion that the Raiders' playoff experience would soon take its toll. Oakland lurked within striking distance, and so the burden fell upon the Patriot offense to control the football and keep it away from Mr. Stabler. Once again, Steve Grogan was called upon to take charge in a crucial situation. And once again, Grogan proved his mettle. Grogan's 10-yard keeper carried to the Oakland 37. 2 plays later, the Patriot ground game came back the other way on the power of Sam Cunningham. Little did Sam Cunningham realize that his stepping out of bounds where he did would prove to be a pivotal event in this football game. The official spotted the ball just outside the 27-yard line. Either a first down by an inch or a third down with an inch or so to go. The chains rendered their verdict, and it proved to be significant. The Oakland Raiders didn't win 13 regular season games making mistakes, nor for that matter did the New England Patriots. But something about the do-or-die pressure of playoff football separates the great teams from the mere good ones. The Raider defense dug in, prepared for the moment of truth. The Patriot offense did the same, but that moment of truth never arrived. Steve Grogan lunged forward for a first down, but half the Patriot team preceded him into the neutral zone. The illegal procedure call put the ball back 5 yards, and for Chuck Fairbanks' young squad, a second, more important moment of truth had arrived. On a controversial play, Raider linebacker Phil Villapiano stripped tight end Russ Francis of the football. Francis and Grogan argued long and loud that Villapiano had interfered with him before he had an opportunity to make the catch. Television replays indeed showed contact had taken place between the two. But as is normally the case when irate football players challenge the authority of officials, the Patriots' vented frustration went for naught. New England's almost flawless performance seemed to be deteriorating as period 4 wore on. But the controversy over this play obscured the significance of the event that followed. Leading by 4 with the ball at Oakland's 32, Coach Chuck Fairbanks sent the field goal unit onto the field. For John Smith, a 50-yard field goal attempt, one that could have ensured the Patriots of at least an overtime. But it was not in the cards. John Smith's attempt would fall just short. One wonders what the Raiders would have done had New England punted deep into Raider territory. Instead, Oakland took over at their own 32, and the stage was set for another remarkable Oakland finish. Working against the clock, Stabler aimed his darts at the surest dartboard in football, as Freddie Biletnikoff found the soft spots in the Patriot zone. But Oakland's seemingly impregnable pass pocket couldn't have picked a worse time to spring a leak. However, the 8-yard loss merely interrupted and did not derail Oakland's drive. New England's loyal following sensed that the master of miracles had pulled his last rabbit out of his hat. They certainly don't know Kenny Stabler very well. With the Patriot secondary overly conscious of Fred Biletnikoff and time becoming a factor, Stabler looked to tight end Dave Casper, and the big man turned in a critical play. Dave Casper powered to the New England 27. Stabler was maneuvering the Raiders toward the Patriot end zone. But time was not on his side, nor were the field and down situation ideal. On third down, Stabler went for it all. And though his pass would fall incomplete, it would be the biggest incompletion of Oakland's season. Stabler's rainbow for Carl Garrett fell to earth harmlessly. No interference was called on the play. But back upfield, the umpire had thrown his flag. Though Carl Garrett didn't know it yet, his being open contributed handily to Oakland's eventual victory. A repeat of the play shows that Patriot nose guard Ray Hamilton, number 71, arrived at Kenny Stabler just as he released the football. The call, roughing the quarterback. A tragic bit of misfortune for the Patriots, who nearly put the Raiders into a 4th down and 18 situation. The Raiders had been granted a second win, and the Patriots would live to regret it. Moments ago, Ken Stabler's chances of getting to Super Bowl 11 seemed remote. Now Stabler moved the Raiders in for the kill. Dave Casper's big catch carried to the Patriot 8-yard line. It seemed almost a foregone conclusion that Oakland would score the winning touchdown. The proud young Patriot defense breathed one last gasp and threatened to make a successful goal line stand. But good fortune had smiled on the Patriots long enough. And Chuck Fairbanks sensed his defensive team would need a miracle of a higher magnitude to stop the unfolding of the inevitable. On second down from the New England 1, Kenny Stabler dealt New England the crushing blow. Ken Stabler and the Oakland Raiders specialize in come-from-behind last-second wins. The Snake once again had slithered into the victory column with a superb clutch performance, one of the gutsiest in modern football history. The New England Patriots played exceptionally well against the veteran Oakland club, and an emotionally spent sideline could only watch in agonizing silence as Oakland celebrated its last-minute triumph. New England's sole consolation is the knowledge that they can play even up with one of pro football's finest teams. But in the end, their playoff inexperience caught up with them. For Oakland, the victory avenges their early season loss in New England. The only blemish on an otherwise perfect season. The Raiders may, in fact, be the best team in football, as their record seems to indicate. Though they failed to win convincingly today, they still won, just as they've done 13 times since the season began. But before John Madden's Raiders can play in the Super Bowl, there still remains one small hurdle to overcome.